Hey, hold on real quick. Hold on. Pause.
Don't at me. Episode 36. I remember it was 35 or 36. Chance told me it was 36.
It's 36. 36,
I believe you, man. I believe you. So, got myself, Mike Silva, of course. We got Chance in the house. Chance, what's up?
What's cracking, Lacan? How y'all doing?
Jock in the car as usual. But is it just in park always?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be funny if it wasn't? You just see the steering wheel and the camera shaking every now and then? Yeah, you know.
Just
Driving and podding. We got a guest with us, too. We got Brandon Scott in the house. Brandon, what's up?
What up, fellas? Good to see y'all finally. We've been following y'all work, enjoying what y'all doing. Glad to be with the Don't At Me audience and everybody. So good to be here, man.
For sure, man. We were talking earlier about kind of like the beginning. Like, we go way back with podcasts. Like 2010, we were working at Sam Houston, the Houstonian Sports Show, recording a podcast about Sam Houston sports. That was like the beginning of podcast days, and now look where it is.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. It's like we figured it out, man, and this is, like you said, it's been 10 years in the making, and it's just changed so much, man. Because back then, like podcasts was still kind of a novelty at the time, and now just like before we even started the show, we were talking about how now podcast is almost like it's even oversaturated, and you're fighting for those ears and for those listeners and for that audience, whereas before it was like, hey, look at this cool thing we doing, this podcast shit. It was like it's like a cool little novelty. So like we've progressed, man, 10 years later, where it's like, now we've seen the whole thing like evolve, man.
It's really crazy too when you see like the format and how much that's changed. I mean, you've had the original ones were just kind of like that free form, just people talking around the horn. Then you see that evolve a little bit more to, you'll have some that are serial, like the podcast serial, that are like a series, or you'll see like seasons, and it's cool, man. Like I like that, that they're becoming more and more podcasts. I wish it wasn't as saturated so we could stand out more, but I do appreciate the medium. I know you running your own podcast right now too, so might as well give your plugs in there now.
Oh yeah, man, it's the B Block podcast, man. You can find that on Spotify, Apple, on Buzzsprout. Follow me at Brandon K. Scott on Twitter, and you can follow me on Instagram at B Scott from Hiram Clark. I'm posting pretty much everything there, man. I pretty much go through pretty much the same stuff that y'all do. Is pretty much focus on sports for the most part, since that's what I do primarily. Man, we might talk about anything in there. So, man, it's just a good free form. I'm kind of like you, man. Just love to see how the podcast have evolved, man. I do the free form like hosting type of thing, but you talk about serial, you talk about like podcasts that focus on TV shows specifically, that focus on specific stories. Like there was a cool one that did one of like the Biggie and Pac murders. There was a cool last one about The Wire that I listened to. So I mean, it's all kind of different shit that you can get out there on, man. But yeah, man, I'm on the B Block right now, man. So y'all can catch me right there.
Yeah, hell yeah. Like to collab always, obviously, and always good to have you on. But sounds like I'm closing the podcast. It's just the beginning. Let's go ahead and get started, man.
We got plenty of shit to talk about.
We really do. And I mean, it's kind of all over the place, but starting out with our segment with earlier, we talk about current events and things that have happened in the last week or so. First thing that I remember caught my eye, of course, kind of apropos to what's going on right now with the Times. The show Cops, canceled, canned.
Bad boys.
So I'll go ahead and share the screen real quick, read through this quick article. I saw this on New York Times. Cops, long-running reality show that glorified police is canceled. Can y'all see the screen?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Oh, I can't do that anymore, right? Cops is no longer. Paramount Network confirmed on Tuesday that it had removed the reality show from its schedule as protests nationwide call for police reform. Late last month, the network had temporarily cut the show from its schedule. So I don't know where y'all stand on Cops as a whole. I really was never much of a viewer anyway. I mean, I guess
the show
when it comes on, I don't mind stopping by and like watching a couple minutes of it. But I don't know. I was never big on the show anyway. Where y'all stand on it?
I guess I'll take it first. I like Cops, the show. Running back to the back, it takes me back to like a bunch of memories and shit. Cause I remember sitting at my Aunt Dora's house like every day at like 6 o'clock, right after like the Simpsons went off or some shit on Fox, and Cops would come on. It was like, bad boys, what you gonna, you know what I'm saying? But and it was always funny to me because like most of the people like that was on Cops, that was like getting arrested and shit like that, were like cracky, methy white people and shit. So it was always funny to like see them like run. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause it's always a crackhead. It's never like a real crime going on Cops. It's always a crackhead and shit. You know what I'm saying?
True.
And so like the motherfuckers, they gotta run and shit, gotta hop fence, all kind of stuff like that. Like that's just crazy. And to see the cameraman do that shit right behind the cops,
I
was
know.
always like I always want to be like a cop's cameraman. You know what I'm saying? Cause like I would imagine that those guys would be like way more in shape than the cops. Cause like not only do they have to like run and shit and keep up with these motherfuckers, but they got to carry this big ass fucking camera, all kind of shit. I mean, that would just be amazing. Too. Yeah. And this one episode of Cops, I actually see the one cameraman, he like tripped a suspect that like ran by him, like to like catch him. I guess he wasn't trying to run, you know what I'm saying? So he like tripped him, and the cops like, you know, they hemmed him up and all that good stuff like that. So that actually got me wondering I wonder if those cameramen were actually cops too. And if they were like not just a part of like Fox, you know what I'm saying? I wonder if that show was actually not only like, you know, focusing on cops and their duties and every day, but I think that like the whole crew and everything was actually cops. Because who else would fucking do that? Not your average cameraman, right?
Right. Yeah, we see Brandon and I know working with some cameramen and not in shape like that. Most of them,
hell no,
wobbly, round.
Yo, hey, but I do know some cameramen. I was gonna say I do know some cameramen that get after it though. Some that's in the news. You know what I'm saying? They'll damn near hit you in the head with that damn camera if you get in their way, man. I know some pretty determined cameramen. So I don't know, but that's an interesting theory though. If the cameraman was cops too, that'd be a hell of a way for the government to be spending money to be making to make cameraman cops, man. That shit would be hilarious.
I wouldn't be surprised. Jock, would you be surprised if that was the case?
No, I wouldn't either. As far as the show, I don't have no comments on it. I never really watched Cops like that, you know. So I heard about it, but I never just like was sitting like and watching that shit religiously, you know.
Yeah. It was never something that I'd like seek out to watch. But like when it came on, like if I walked by and somebody just had it on, I would always like just kind of watch for a minute. Cause like Chance, like you said, like they're just always like, and then like it's always a crackhead, always somebody that's just like doing stupid shit. They're always
dumb shit.
Always guilty too. Like clearly guilty. But let me skip this bullshit ad. How can you not like this though, at least though?
You said what?
Huh?
Yeah, I guess the shit can't hear.
I can't hear that shit.
Yeah, I can't either.
What is it, Bad Boys? Yeah. Yeah. They be tearing their ass up. I don't see it. Like, what the fuck? Yo. I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm gonna miss that shit.
Hey.
After I watched that highlight, I'm like, man, that actually was kind of.
Hey, but
that
you know,
shit was great.
The thing that worked, the thing that I think worked about Cops, that could still work about it, is that it's a hot mess, and everybody like to watch a hot mess, man.
Yes,
like when we see, and how many episodes of Cops do you remember? You know, they would have to blur it out because it wasn't on like HBO or some shit. But how many episodes do you remember where like people would end up naked, or like they ass or something would end up showing or something like that, and it would just be hilarious to kind of just like observe the moment, you know. So that's why it worked. But you see why they had to kind of go away from it too with everything that's going on.
Yeah.
I think too, we kind of lived in the glory days of it. Like, cause I mean, like I said, back on when, the Simpsons would go off and that shit would come on, whatever. That was like the 90s. And like, I guess it was just like a product of the time or whatever.
That's what I was just going to say,
shit,
man.
That shit was exciting then for some reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what it was, man, but like, I remember one of the last times I actually that shit was like on, like where it was like actually like cops on like TV. It was about 10, maybe 12 years ago. I was at a bar at Fox Hollow off Washington. It's not on Washington. It was like off Washington or whatever.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I was at Fox Hollow, and I was at Adam's show. My friend Adam, he was rapping at the time or whatever, and he was like opening for ESG. And if anyone out there who knows who ESG is, he's a Houston rapper from SUC or whatever. But he usually just freestyles, right? Like he's one of the freestyle kings. So during the opening of the show, we kind of just sitting there at the bar, chilling with ESG, watching cops, like we're watching cops or whatever. But he just talking to us or whatever. We were not paying attention. And so he hit the stage and everybody, all right, it's ESG, blah, everybody. Yeah. He just comes and freestyles everything that was going on in where he was at, in Fox Hollow. So he was like, yo, I'm chilling with that nigga Chance.
That's what they used to always do that. They would just narrate what's happening around. He's like, that dude's in the chair.
Yeah. Over there. Yeah.
Hey, so look. Bear,
so he's ran out of shit to talk about in the people around, right? But cops was still on. So he started rapping about everything that was going on cops. He was just like, "Oh, the nigga
That's
got
a
the
YouTube
crack.
series right there,
dude." I'm telling you, man, it was perfect. It was fucking perfect. I was like, "This nigga's the coldest nigga ever, bro." Like he is. It's just that. I mean, he freestyled the whole scene. I even think he predicted some shit. You know what I'm saying? It was like he under the mattress or some shit like that. It was crazy, dude. But that was one of the greatest times I've ever witnessed cops. I just thought I had to show that.
I do remember, like you were saying, it was very iconic of the 90s. It was everything we just saw right there. I was like, that is so 90s.
Hey.
I mean, you had such minimal concerns then in the 90s. People worried about AIDS. Just strap up, Right. I mean, there was a lot of bad shit going on. You had, a lot of the same things that are going on now. Obviously, Rodney King. Right. Like that, but as far as the mass public, you didn't have fucking coronavirus, all this kind of crazy shit, social media, just simpler times.
Yeah, that's the main. Everybody didn't have an opinion back then to even speak on those type of things, oh, why are we glorifying cops? You know what I mean?
We didn't have a platform to just bitch about stuff.
I mean, because all you had was television programming. You had what they gave you. Nowadays, we can watch whatever it is we want to watch or whatever. Then it was block scheduling for, you got an hour blocked off for cops. Oh, it was great. I did see also that they canceled Live PD.
They did not, or did cancel Live
PD?
They did.
They did cancel Live PD as well.
Brandon, what were you about to say?
Nah, I was just point out we probably should note that they probably being a little fake about the whole, we're canceling it because of the climate thing. We're talking about how cops was nostalgic to the 90s. The thing about it is that it don't do the same numbers that it used to do. It just got to be played out after a while. It does have, if you look up, it does have the numbers that what's the pawn shop show?
Pawn Stars.
Yeah, it does half the numbers of that. So it's partly because of what they say it is, but it's also because of the fact that it's really kind of a relic and it's not something that people even really watching.
Right, that should be going on for 30 years anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we could just go to police activity on the YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, speaking of the 90s and everything, since we're talking about nostalgia, what's going on with Nickelodeon?
Like,
What is going on with Nickelodeon? Y'all put me on. I'm behind on this, but this is good.
I don't know
like
either, but like
topic.
From what I heard, the owner had like a foot fetish for like little kids or something like that. I don't know. Chance, maybe y'all know. You know what I mean? But I saw that and I kind of like was like, you know, because we always used to watch
fetish.
Yeah, foot fetish. Yeah.
You know, I heard something about
and
this.
It's a foot.
Oh,
it's a foot.
No. Okay. So you're talking about the thing about the foot that was on at the Nickelodeon Studios thing. All right. So that foot actually, it took me a while to kind of figure that out because the meme was kind of so vague or whatever. But the foot actually looks like a dick. So it's like, oh, Nickelodeon's on this shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, SpongeBob is gay.
Huh? Oh, I was a lot was going on. I did hear about they did like come out with SpongeBob. I did hear about that.
Mm-hmm.
But you were saying something about a dick and what? Catch me back.
So at Nickelodeon Studios, at back in the '90s when they used to have like the big place or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Like over one of the signs where it says Nickelodeon in orange, it's like a foot or whatever.
Right.
It's like a random foot, like the little splat shit. But I forgot what the exact meme said, but it's like, it's like how we didn't know Nickelodeon wasn't on this shit.
Yeah,
I think that they were referring to like like that foot was actually shaped like a dick. It was phallic shaped. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So yeah, I don't think it has nothing to do with a foot fetish, but I think it has to do with like a dick fetish.
Huh?
Yeah, that was kind of random.
But honestly, like speaking of that, I'm not really surprised, man. Like a lot of shit we grew up on watching was bad for us to watch. Like Disney and all that shit. Like it was always like little signs about sexual shit and stuff. We just was too young to like realize it,
Remember like Rocco's Modern Life?
Like we can go back now and look at it. Yeah.
That's just crazy. But I don't see how are people not surprised about SpongeBob's gayness.
Fucking.
I thought that was known. I thought that was widely known.
Yeah.
About which
I'm not really surprised. I mean, we're in 2020, right? Too. So also like it's a new age. You know what I'm saying? So like nothing surprises me anymore about anything. It can be dinosaurs tomorrow, like that roam the earth again and shit. Like I wouldn't be surprised,
So they did come out with this whole here's a CNN article on it. SpongeBob SquarePants gay. Get out of here, ads. Nickelodeon just reinforced the theory. So SpongeBob and Patrick in a scene from their series. Okay, anyway. There's been a long debate about the sexuality of SpongeBob, and some are taking a Nickelodeon tweet as his coming out. Celebrating #Pride with the LGBTQ plus community and their allies this month and every month. They put, I don't know who these people are, but next to them, SpongeBob. And then,
Speaking of SpongeBob, I mean,
started trending.
Captain Planet and
Captain Planet's gay?
Wait, what was that? No, so yeah, Captain Planet, Carmen Sandiego's theories about them being gay too.
Huh.
Especially Carmen Sandiego. I don't know if I remember her.
Carmen Sandiego? She was like barely in the show. Don't they always shouldn't like find that bitch? Where in the fuck is Carmen Sandiego?
That's where she was. She ran away. She was like hiding it or something.
Scissoring and shit.
Yeah, I don't know about the SpongeBob gay thing though. Like, I mean, we all thought it, but like, I mean, I don't know. They're gonna start talking on the show like, "Hey, he's gay," like,
Probably they're gonna be, but honestly, like,
because I mean, I really don't feel like. Sorry, go ahead, Jack.
I would say like, let me watch some words, but like, I don't, because okay, Netflix, right? For like, we all watch Netflix, and it's a lot of gay things on Netflix that's kind of like thrown at you, like every little thing I feel, and so I think honestly, even with cartoons, they're gonna start getting into that more with SpongeBob. It's gonna be the catalyst for it, where like they're gonna be saying gay shit, my boyfriend and this and that, because like it's become so like norm now, like with everything, and like I said, 2020, man, it's a new age,
It's like a delicate topic because I feel like most shows just don't talk about sexuality at all. Like that's a fine solution to me, especially if they're kids shows. You know, let them find that out on their own. Let them talk at school and figure that stuff out. You know, like learn how we learned it. You know, like we didn't really like learn all this stuff because TV shows are forcing it down our throats. You know, it's not like, oh, we're heterosexual males because shows made us that way. It's just, you know, I don't know anything about the science behind all that, so I won't even pretend to get into, you know, whether it's nature or nurture. But I just find it strange that shows are making a concerted effort to talk about gender and identity and all of that,
Right.
period. Like, I understand that the default is, you know, heterosexual Americans, whatever. And like, I mean, I get if they want to challenge, like, hey, let's have diversity. But I feel like when you start specifically drawing attention to that, it kind of takes away, like, that should be something going on in the
Sure.
background.
It alienates people
Right.
too.
And it takes away, like, what's really going on the show. Like,
Right.
kids aren't paying attention to that. If you start saying, like, hey, SpongeBob is gay now, then they're going to say, what's gay? Like, you know,
They
now.
don't, because they're so innocent. Yeah, they're so innocent.
Right.
They don't know what's what. And so I feel like, yeah, that's what I was gonna say too, Mike. I'm glad you brought that up. But they should stick away from like talking about any of that for like little kids. You know what I'm saying? Just keep it pure and like what it's supposed to be. You know.
Brandon, where you at on that? Because you're a father, so
Yeah, so I actually look at it from a different view, as if what they're trying to do is actually like reach out to the adults, because like the kids actually don't really fully understand that. And as long as the shows aren't really like, these are fictional characters, you don't even know if SpongeBob, because it's a sponge, you don't even know if SpongeBob is a boy or a girl. Like it's Bob, so you assume that it's a boy, but it's actually a sponge. So like even the notion of sexuality for a sponge is ridiculous on its face to begin with.
Right.
But then when you go beyond that, I think what they're actually trying to do is reach out to the adults and in some ways perhaps pander to a particular audience. I think that's part of what it is, because at the same time, like, I kind of already figured SpongeBob was gay just based off of how the character is written and acted and played. So it's actually already implied, and the kids are actually a little too young to fully understand that. But I think their innocence kind of protects them from whatever the concerns are for the adults, and then from there is for the adults to go and have the conversation. So I don't actually think that they're targeting the kids, since the kids don't fully understand. They can just kind of look at the character and kind of just decide for themselves what the character is. And maybe it's not until they look back and they understand sexuality and gay people and straight people and just what the difference is, where they look back and be like, oh, you damn sure right, SpongeBob was gay. But for now, like, I can tell you, like, I got a 5-year-old downstairs who can't tell you, I mean, he couldn't tell you if SpongeBob was gay or what that means or anything like that. Now, my 10-year-old kind of understands it, but she's at a point now where she's already been raised and taught and talked to, and so where like she can kind of handle it a little bit better. Mm-hmm. Whereas the more innocent one, he doesn't really know one way or the other, and then it's kind of my job to be the one to say, hey, this is what it is, what it's not.
Right. Well, with that conversation, it's like, when do you even start to care when you're a kid? You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, I mean, with the shit nowadays, like you were saying, Jock, with this kind of being, you know, I don't know, like put right in front of our face. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's not a guessing game or anything like that. What does that really do for people? Or like, what is that, you know, like, I don't know, how does that translate into like real life? Like, who cares?
Right. Well, and I get, like, I understand the other angle. Like, if you're going to do a tweet like that and, you know, kind of like a, you know, like a tip at the hat, like, hey, SpongeBob's gay, that's perfectly fine. I mean, even if they say, like, hey, if anybody asks, SpongeBob's gay, whatever, that's fine. But what I hope doesn't happen is them try to force any agenda down somebody's throat. And I mean, I get, look, the default, again, let's try to shake up the default. Let's see more diversity in what the default is and goes. I mean, the default is typically what? Married white family with a boy and a daughter, a son and a daughter, right? So I get like, hey, let's try to shake that up. Let's do something different. But again, like, let people create their own path, learn their own way, instead of like, hey, let me force this down your throat. I've never been a fan of like, here's what my narrative is, I'm pushing it on you. It's more of like, here's some shit I think. You're welcome to think whatever you want to think.
It's open for interpretation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because like honestly, guys, like in my opinion, I feel like Netflix is kind of doing it already.
Yes.
Like they have a certain agenda they're trying to like force down people's throat because, like I said, I don't give a fuck what you are. You know what I mean? Like what you like cool, like as long as you're happy. But I notice every show that I watch on Netflix, they always have to throw some stuff in there. You know what I mean? Like every single show that I watch, literally, And so I'm like, why are they doing that? You know what I mean? Like I think I know why in my head, but I'm like, you don't have to like do that to like try to convey your message. I feel like where it's just like force feed.
What is the message?
Yeah, so
that like gays we're equal and everybody, but I feel like it's kind of already at that point though. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you don't have to like keep forcing stuff.
Well, and I feel like it's almost like, well, Brandon, you were gonna say something. I'll let you go first. Then I'll gather my thoughts.
No, I was gonna say, man, it's hard for me to identify with, just because, like, for me, it's like it's not even something that I would think about. But I think the point that they're trying to make is like representation. Like you like I guess sort of the same sentiment that a lot of black people felt when Black Panther came out, and it was like, fuck whether you kept up with the Marvel. There was a lot of people who didn't watch the Marvel movies who went to go watch Black Panther just because they wanted to go see the black superhero. Right. Now it's hard for me with a straight face to be like, Black Panther and the representation in that is equal to SpongeBob, and like I'm trying to picture, even if I was gay, if that would even be the representation that I would be looking for. Right. But nonetheless, I guess that's what they're trying to go for.
Right.
But at the same time, I mean, it is a delicate balance, because you gotta, you got a wide ranging audience, and so it's like you got to ultimately decide like who it is that you're talking to. Like, I think that to some degree, like, there are some good intentions, and to a large degree there is some pandering there as well, because like I see what Jock sees as well. Like I'm all for representation, but it does seem like I have seen shows where it seems like a gay character may have been forced, or they feel like they just did it just to do it or to fill a quota. And even as a black person, I'm like, hey, if this show, like, if you got a show where a black person just don't fit in, don't force a black person into the show, and it's sort of the same
like
thing.
Big Bang Theory.
It's like exactly like where were we supposed to get into that show, man?
That's always been where I've stood too, right? I mean, if the show, look, I get representation 100%. I also understand that humans, we like customization. We like things that are tailored to us.
Tailored to us.
If you get an email that's like a blast, you're like, man, delete this. I don't feel special. Or if you get a mass text, you don't feel special. So, shows have a niche audience, a target audience. You have, people tend to assimilate. They do. They just do. Look, like, anytime I go to a group, I'm like, all right, who's cool? Like, who do I get down with? Like, that's the kind of people that listen to music I listen to, the people that I, with common interests, right? So, like, you're going to have to target that show, create, hear the people that look like you, that act like you, that are like you, because that's what the show is about. You want to just blend into the show, So I'm all about like, hey, this show has a very specific audience. You don't have to force people that don't fit into the show, and again, I'm not making this point about SpongeBob or anything like that, but
right.
Point, like, if you're going to have a show, like, just let it be, like.
Exactly. Right.
I don't know. It's
they even have, bro, honestly, they even have like a gay, they had like a gay Jesus show on Netflix. So like you said, like they did. They took it off, but like I'm like, dang, like they, like,
I gotta get off Netflix. Period.
Doesn't need to be, you know what I mean? So I'm like,
Well,
man, it's just
it's a couple of things too, because I think like, you know, you have your shows that have a niche audience. You know, if you're like, hey, I'm you know, an Indian guy and I love playing video games. If there's a show that has, you know, Indian guys playing video games, you know, you're like, hey, that's just like my crew. Like, I like that show. If they're like, hey, we need more representation, and they just force different people that don't kind of fit that dynamic, like it doesn't work, you know, and it's phony and it's forced, it's pandering,
Right.
like you said, and
Yeah,
it's
it is.
checking a box, you know. And I think this kind of comes back to like the what I'll call like the Jonah Hill dynamic, where like they cast him, typecasted as funny fat guy, and the whole movie he's pointing at himself like, hey, look at me, I'm funny and I'm fat, you know, hey, look at me. Same thing with like Melissa McCarthy, you know, the funny fat
Right.
girl. Hey, I'm fat and I'm funny. It's like
Rebel Wilson.
it's
I'm
yeah,
funny. I'm
it's
fat,
it's
I'm
almost
British.
kind of it's almost kind of like exploitation to a certain extent, you know. So I
It
mean,
is.
that's what bothers me is I feel like at some point they're exploiting people when they're trying to say, hey, we're representing everybody. People screw up the message and what their intentions are all the time. But
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that it just kind of goes with, I mean, nowadays with popularity, you know, also too, because like these shows, like you said, they'll cast them to like, okay, here's a perfect example, like the Watchmen TV show,
yeah,
which is great, you know what I'm saying? Great
Cool.
TV show, great message, everything like that. But it's like, okay, well, you kind of switched up the writing of the comics to fit into this
Yeah.
particular part of, you know, of time to kind of pander to like a particular group of people. In this case, black people. You know, it's like, do a lot of black people even know about Watchmen? Not really. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, are they gonna watch it on the strength that it's a black show? No, because they don't even know the property. You know what I'm saying?
it's a good point. Yeah.
So that's why that shit got canceled. Didn't that shit get canceled or something?
They didn't really
I think after
renew
like
it.
a season. They didn't renew it.
They were like,
Because-
they try to save face, like, oh, it was a limited release. We're like, I know what that means.
It's like, nah, yeah. It's like, yeah, you guys, y'all fucking greenlit 13 episodes or whatever like that. It didn't work out for you. It didn't get the numbers you wanted because you were literally pandering to a certain group
Yeah.
to include them.
Yeah, I thought Watchmen was well acted, but not well written at all, man. Like,
Yeah, I would agree.
Like
'cause
I respected the performances, like, and there, it has some moments, man. But for the most part, it was like left and right. I was just like, what the heck, you know, what the heck?
yeah, the concept, the story was really weird. And like you said, like, it was kind of, I mean, I've always respected Regina King, but like, she was really
love
good in the
Regina.
show. You know?
She was great. She was great. And what was the
great in
dude
everything.
that played that played the
He's gonna be in Candyman.
yeah,
I
Candyman.
forget
Yeah,
his
yeah.
name. We gotta give this guy some respect. We always say the guy that's gonna be in Candyman.
Yeah, he was cold though.
He was in some other shit too.
We were talking about he's on the
We brought him
Netflix
up last pod.
or the Black Mirror episode.
Yeah, with the Weird Jade video game episode.
Okay, I don't feel half as bad.
Oh, you talking about Striking Vipers?
Yeah, I don't feel as bad because y'all tell me how to pronounce homie's name.
Yahya Abdul Mateen II.
Wasn't all that hard.
Yeah, I just go Yaya.
Yahya?
They
Definitely.
just call me Yaya.
My
It's
man
weird.
Yahya.
It's weird.
Yahya man.
Yeah,
weird.
man.
Kind of weird calling dude Yaya, but that's the man's name. So
You know what I'm saying?
Gotta do
Yeah.
it. Gotta respect it, right?
Yahya.
Yaya.
Just
Yeah,
kiss me,
yeah.
man.
Yo, that was a fun. Hey, I'm not gonna lie. That kind of killed Black Mirror for me, Bill.
Yeah, you.
It seriously killed a Black Mirror for me. I didn't watch any episode after that. That was the first episode on that season, right? I didn't watch anyone after
Yeah.
that one. I heard it was like a Miley Cyrus episode. I like Miley Cyrus. Hey, didn't watch it just
Yeah.
because that episode threw me off.
Yeah.
I like video games.
That brings you back up to right. But it brings back up to like shit being forced. They didn't feel like I didn't have to like do that in my opinion, you know.
Right.
I feel you, but it was entertaining because that was a mind fuck. I had a feeling.
I'm not gonna lie. I watched that
This
whole
shit's getting
episode.
kind of weird, man. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, nah.
And the thing is, like, you knew it was about to happen. Like, I don't think any of us knew what was about to happen. You know what I'm saying?
Like,
You can
why
just
is he
tell.
playing
You know?
as a girl
Like,
character? And then I was like,
I was like, yeah, something's about to happen.
spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Speaking of spoiler alert,
Oh man.
I know y'all have seen it. It's been in the news lately. Well, at least it's been trending. Dave Chappelle's 846.
Great.
Yes, I
see it?
loved it. I loved it. Yeah, I saw it for sure.
Let's try
Saw
to
it
play a
twice.
little bit. I hope YouTube doesn't dick us and take this down. I won't show the video.
Let's just talk over it the entire time.
Yeah, I'll show a little. It was heavy, but you know what? I'm with you. I loved it. I loved every part of it. We'll only play a little bit because they'll dick us and take it down. But I was surprised. I wasn't. I mean, not that I was surprised, but it definitely was more passionate than I'm used to seeing Chappelle. But I agree with everything that he said. You know, he's talking about how he was experiencing an earthquake, and that 30 seconds he was scared shitless because he thought like, I'm gonna die. This is it. It's over. And that was only 30 seconds. He's talking about how, you know, George Floyd had to endure what he endured for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. That I didn't even know. I didn't realize that it was that long. I knew it was not, 30 seconds. I knew it was a long time. But damn near 10 minutes. What makes me more upset than anything, and I mean, I guess I understand you can't do much. There's police there, and that's part of the problem. But the fact that nobody tried to stop it, that nobody try to call 911 and say like, hey, I see some shit didn't look right to me, and I don't know, maybe people did that, but it just blows my mind that we're like, that's where the world is at now, where people are just quick to record and just chill and not actually do anything. That's what, that was kind of the aha moment that I had.
Right. Well, I would say that, dude, it's it's fucked up, man. Like that obviously is a long fucking time. To have like your knee on someone's neck, or to have it. I mean, that's a long time for anything. Actually, if you think about it. Yeah, you think about 8 minutes, 46 seconds, bro. That's a long time. I mean, think if you just have to like wait in a drive-through for that long. Like, Mike, I know you for a fact would shit your pants. Like, you'd be like, what the hell's going on? Like seriously. Yeah. I mean, like, if you have to wait for your fucking Starbucks for that fucking long.
2 minutes.
I mean, having pressure on you. I don't know if anybody's ever been in a fight or anything like that, but those shits don't last longer than 2 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like a real fight, because you get tired. I mean, it feels like longer. Hell yeah. But you get tired, bro. That's why boxing matches only go for 3 minutes. I mean, each round only goes for 3 minutes. You know what I'm saying? It's because like you're fucking working. Could you imagine someone that's just? I mean, George Floyd was a big guy, but I mean, just as fucking big as you. Work security, everything like that. I'm a grown fucking man. On your fucking neck for that long, and then the shit with the other guys standing around.
Nonchalant.
Like, I mean, just nonchalant. That's where the accountability comes in. And I mean, those by the grace of God, those guys did get charged, with some type of crime or whatever. I'm not sure, what it is right now. But I mean, but yeah, dude, I if I was there and I saw that shit, I'm not gonna lie, bro. I would have like kind of like had to like just ran and like push the guy up off of him, man. If I would have got arrested, they would have did me like that too. Like it would have just happened. But like you said, man, I can't just like sit around and, like just record something like that. Like even if it's a fight or something that's going on, yeah, I can't just watch something like that.
And my thing is so I think I agree with y'all. What y'all saying, like you should have like pushed and did something, but in that moment, you don't know what you're gonna do. You know what I'm saying? It's probably like a shock. It was probably like a shock factor for some people too. They didn't know what the fuck was happening. They're probably trying to process some shit, and also they probably didn't want to like die because we don't know when we like jump in and like help out and shit. Because somebody who jumped in, they probably would have like got shot or some shit, easily.
That's
you know
the
what I
scary
mean?
part, man. Like
So
that's
it's like,
part of the problem.
right, yeah, exactly. So people don't know, like, when can we jump in and do something? You know what I'm saying? Like, it should be automatic, but it's like, it's thin line. It sucks. It really does. Like, it's fucked up. Like, it really is. I don't know if reforms will help. I think we should just dismantle the whole thing and start from ground up. Personally, but it's just crazy, man.
But to go into
Yeah, so-
conversations about that, I'm sorry if I'm cutting anybody off, but the dismantle everything and to start from the ground up. It's like how do you even start some shit like that?
Right.
Like what point do you start it, and where do you even want to go?
That's
I
the
don't
thing.
know.
That's why we got to have these conversations as like a society. Like, hey, like, what do we actually want to do? I'm saying that because I feel like the system was never really designed set up well anyways. We all know that. So like reforms is kind of putting like a band-aid over it. Band-aid for a little bit, and then it's gonna come off again eventually. So that's my opinion of it.
I think part of the thing too is, I mean, my last job, I worked there for 8 years. Right when I joined, they were part of a merger with another company. So that was 5 years in after that. So I ended up having worked there for longer than they had been merged with, the other company. And over time, it became more and more apparent all the little disconnects, all the little cultural differences between, the North Campus in another state and then, our campus here in Texas. And not even like racial culture, just like business culture, like the more lax versus more uptight, more creative versus more process oriented. I mean, it was night and day difference. And, I look at that and I'm thinking, when I joined the company, I wasn't even aware of that kind of stuff. I wasn't even aware that a merger would have those kind of discrepancies, until you're actually in it. And then I thought back on like, man, 5 years for two completely different cultures having merged isn't shit. I mean, think about it from a sports standpoint. Let's say they said, you know what, we're going to do sports, but we're going to cut all the teams in half. You're going to merge. Everybody, New York, Boston, you're one team now. Everybody, 2 LA teams, you're one team now. Think about that culture clash and think about how long it would take for shit to work itself out. Think about even 5 years down the line. If you were to say, all right, Patriots and Browns, y'all are partnered up now. Imagine 5 years down the line what things would look like. The crazy part is when you think about slavery, that was what, 155 years ago? 160 years ago?
And it wasn't that long ago, actually.
That's not at all that long ago. Exactly. And I mean, segregation, all these things. So, and I'm just talking about, my company was what, 5,000 people, I think, after the merger. We're talking about 300 million. So it takes a long time to put these things together. And I think that you kind of have to take it from a grassroots approach, bit by bit, piece by piece. There's still a lot wrong with the system. Right. But I think anybody that thinks it's just a clean, easy, sweeping fix, it's very complex. I mean, I just explained that scenario to explain how, 5,000 people couldn't move in the same direction over 13 years with my 8 and the 5 before combined, let alone a country 160 for, it's
they could
a lot of room to grow. Like there are a lot of problems still very glaring with the country. Yes.
Right. They couldn't even do it 150 years ago when they did start from that point. It's like they had to implicate more things to just kind of keep things the way that they were in a way. That's when like, when the policing actually came about and when Jim Crow laws came about in the 20s or whatnot like that. I mean, it's like, certain people in this country are comfortable with the way that it is.
Yeah.
And they don't want it to want it to go. And they don't want it to change because they're comfortable with it. You know what I mean? Like if you're in a room and like you're comfortable with the temperature or whatever, but someone comes in and they're like, yeah, let me crank it up, right? So you're gonna be like, yo, go back to that other room where you came from, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because like I'm good here. Like it was fine in here for me. That's how people act in this country, or not even just in this country, around the world. But
I want to get Brandon's take on it.
I
change
do
to
too.
come
Sorry,
about.
we've been going on. We've been
Yeah,
talking
Brandon.
over here.
Yeah,
Shot
we
clock
got you.
violations.
Nah, man, I enjoy listening to y'all's perspective, man, and just like real quick to go back to the video, like and what Chappelle was talking about. Like the problem there, obviously, aside from what happened to George Floyd, is just the audacity of it all, man. Just the fact that this is happening on a street, out in public, in front of people. Like this isn't in some back alley. Somebody sitting up there recording. However you feel about them recording, there's somebody out there recording this. This is out there on the street in front of people, and so like. You gotta think about that aspect as far as like the people that are watching. Maybe they wanted to act, maybe they wanted to do something, but if they sit up there watching the police with the power and the authority, sitting up there feeling empowered to do something like this in public in front of people, what you think they're gonna do to the next man or to the next person? So that's part of it. Like you're gonna have some apprehension there when you see just the damn audacity to do something like that in broad daylight. And then as far as the point about the police force and building from the ground up, I feel like there's a bunch of different ideas that like differ from defunding the police to abolishing the police entirely. Right. And like they're kind of different concepts. Like I feel like defunding means funding them less and using the money to do things with, in other places, to put the money in better spots and to not give the police money for things that they don't need, like all that damn riot gear that you see them wearing at the protest and the shit that they use to bomb people's houses when they got a drug warrant and like all of the shit that they get from the military and all of that kind of stuff. Like they don't need half of the shit that they get. And so like defunding the police is just sort of more of a concept, more of an idea of like not putting this emphasis on making them be like the domestic military, because that's not what the relationship's supposed to be like. They're not supposed to fucking be at war all the time. Right. The way that it looks, especially at these protests, and then even at what precedes the protest. Like, like that's kind of that idea. As far as abolishing the police, that's a whole nother kind of radical idea where you're talking about maybe in smaller cities you get rid of the department and you merge it with the county, or kind of like what Mike's talking about, where you kind of figure out a different kind of funding mechanism, whereas maybe you don't have a police department, but you got a kind of more of a conglomerate. And we've seen it in different places where it's worked in some ways and in some other ways that it hasn't. But like this is the first time that I've actually heard the idea talked about like in the mainstream. Like it's like some radical shit before now, and now it's like, you got more mainstream media talking about, well, hell, what do we want to do? We give police departments too much money, and are we not prioritizing the money in the right way? And are we empowering them in a way where they feel like they can just bang on people in the middle of the street like they did?
Right. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that extends, obviously the priority, what's in the spotlight right now is the race part of it, right? But I mean, that extends even beyond that. I mean,
it does.
I can't think of a ton of times where I felt seeing a police officer made me feel safe. If anything, it almost kind of put me on my toes, where I'm like, shit, man, like I'm doing something wrong. We've been bred to kind of think that you're always doing something wrong. You always have to kind of look over your shoulder, and it doesn't really fit the world we're in right now. Like, regardless, race aside, like the system is broken. It's there are too many times where I feel like I'm just dealing with the nuisance of having to go to the courthouse to deal with a speeding ticket, which, I mean, look, yeah, I know if I'm doing wrong, I shouldn't be speeding. I've had a clean record though, many years now. But the point is, I don't feel like I'm like, all right, I feel like they're here to ensure my safety as much as, I'm just feeling paranoid always. And I shouldn't put a blanket statement on it. I know there are great police out there, and I know some of them myself, but, something needs to change for sure.
Yeah, because like you remember, Mike, you know, when we got stereotyped in your neighborhood, which I get that, but like you said, I don't really, I can't really say for myself that I've been in a lot of situations where cops have done like a lot of good for me personally. You know, it's always something like it gets escalated or it just like, you know, when they come, I get nervous. Not in the fact that I'm gonna get killed, but I get nervous. I know something bad is about to happen, and we should automatically like think like that, you know. But we've been groomed too.
Well, to the contrary of that, as me, and I mean, most of you guys know me personally or whatever. I've never. There's probably been, I can count on my fingers how many times like I've had like actually bad experiences with police or whatever, and like it's not that many, because usually like what it is if you know how to talk to them, if you know how to like, usually nothing bad comes up or whatnot.
I was like, I haven't really had any like bad experiences, and maybe it's more so just me thinking, you know, my own shit. I'm in my own head, and that's why I'm paranoid. But it's how I feel, you know, and I think that counts for something. You know, the fact that a lot of people feel that way means something. You know, something's got to change.
And I think it's too, like, Chance, you probably like know how to talk to him and all that. But you know I've been in situations personally where I try to talk to them calmly and peacefully, but they come at me disrespectfully, or it's like I shouldn't be talking to them at all.
Well, you should be able to ask questions, and I feel like sometimes if you ask questions, it might seem like you're challenging, you know. And you should be able to ask, "Hey, what's going on here? Like, I'm a human. I have rights. What's the situation?" Brandon, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, no, I was just going like on the point that you made about race. I think what's interesting with the police that should be kind of this unifying thing for people of all races, that like the police will break bad with white people too. You know, like they'll break bad with white people too. Like white people got horror stories too with the police. And the point there that I would make as a black person is that if they'll break bad with the white man or with a white woman or with a white person, the hell you think they'll do with me or you or you or you? You know, like let's recognize that it's, even though it's not just us, the fact that it can even be you makes it even scarier for me. And like, and I agree with Chance too. Like as far as like my experience, I haven't had that many terrible experiences with cops. I can't say like my worst experiences with cops were more so of like instances where I was like actually in the wrong. I did have a pretty racist thing happen to me with a cop one time, but I'm like Chance where I can count it on one hand. But the thing is, the issue is like just the power dynamic. It's just that you feel so powerless if you do find yourself in that situation, or if you're not even in that situation. If you like Mike and you're just like, shit, that situation might find me. You know, I think that's the hang up, because the cops know that they or at least they knew. It's kind of changing now, but the cops have felt like they had the power, and then the rest of us kind of feel like we're kind of at the mercy of whatever it is that they say, you know?
Yeah. And it shouldn't be like that at all, you know, because like we, the people, and this goes for not only the police, but for the government, whether it's local, state, federal, like we hold the power, you know? And like, I mean, I know we said this a couple pods ago, but like this right here, these devices, this shit right here, this is our primary weapon against, you know, our primary defense weapon. Like I advise everyone to get dash cams and shit like that, because like you were saying, Brandon, like, dude, they will break bad with the white people. I mean, we've seen it in the past 3 weeks, like how they've been like, I mean, dude, they've been fucking turning up on these like protesters and, you know, everyone else that's out there and shit. The people I've seen getting fucked up the most at these protests have been white people, because they've been the ones that's like been fucking shit up. You know what I'm saying? But like, they've been getting fucked up out here. You know what I'm saying? Like crazy. And I mean, it's just time for everybody to open their eyes to see that, yo, the police that you know, like not generalizing all as a statement, but at the same time generalizing the police as like, you know, the fraternal order of the police. They think that they're kind of above the law, you know, and you know they break the law to enforce the law.
How many times, real quick, How many times have you seen a cop flip the lights just to run the light and then flip them off?
Dude, I've seen that more times than I can count on my hands. You know what I'm saying? And that's like
More than my age.
like weekly.
More than my age,
You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, like I see that shit all the fucking time. It's like, where the fuck are you even going? You know? Shit, above the law, man. Above the fuck. But I think where this shit needs to start, where it should start, is that, okay, being a police officer is a profession, right? A profession. You're a professional officer. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is something that is a career. That shouldn't take 21 weeks to do training for. You know what I'm saying? That should be like a 4-year thing.
Yeah.
That should be like, you should go to college to be a police officer.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
you're
other
a public.
countries, they're doing that right now, and like you see, the success rate is much higher over there than like what it is in America, as far as like how they handle people. Like, they actually are for the people. That's how it should be, you know.
Right. Right. I mean,
Yeah, you know what?
the cops in England don't even carry guns.
Yeah. Hey, like Chance, I like your point about the training, but I would say this is how I would differ from you. I would say it's not necessarily how long they train, but it's how they train and what they train to do, and how they train to think. You know what I'm saying?
See, I didn't even get to that point. My vision of how I think this could all work, like I said, 4-year school. First 2 years, just like regular fucking college. First 2 years, you're not even in the fucking field. You are literally in the books, learning the law. You are learning the same law that pre-law students are learning. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I don't understand, like, okay, so, all right, when you go to court, right, say you do anything, you know, like, say it's, I don't know, just make a fuck crime. Right, you have your lawyer, right, and they have to ask the police, you know, like, say you have the police, the arresting officer or whatever the fuck, you know, on the stand or whatever. Like, shouldn't they know, like, the same shit, you know? Because if, you know, like, if the lawyer who is, you know, who studies law or whatever, you know, and, like, I guess practices law or whatever, shouldn't the person that enforces the law know more than the lawyer?
Should, right? In theory,
In
theory, they should, right?
Hey,
I mean, you're enforcing it.
You know what? You know what? To that point, you know why that's such a great point? Because the cops, a lot of this police misconduct, they are doing stuff that you would never see a lawyer do. You would never see somebody who knows the law do some of the stuff that you see these people doing, because they would be like, this is illegal in some kind of way. This is a violation of some kind of constitutional right or some kind of letter of the law or something of that regard. So I'm with you there. Like, if they knew the law or studied the law to that degree, they would never do that type of stuff.
Yo,
And the funny thing
crazy.
is, too,
I'm sorry, just real quick. It's crazy that a person like me knows more of the law than your average officer out there.
and that's what I was gonna say.
I tell them every time. That's why I never get into shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why, I mean, like, my record's not so fucking, like, squeaky clean or whatever. Like, I never get into shit. And if I do get into shit, I can talk my way out of it because I know the law. Because of, you know, my skin color. Because my skin is my skin. You know what I'm saying?
You know the law. You know the law. You know the law because you're trying to stay alive.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. And that's what I was gonna say, Chance. Like, they get mad when you actually know more than them too. You know, like, they try to, like, feel like, okay, nah, you're not right, but when you actually, like, spitting facts and stuff, like, hey, no, this is actually right or whatever, they don't like that, because, like, it goes back to, like, what y'all saying, like a power trip. They don't want to feel like you know, like, you know more than them, or it's like, okay, like, I don't know. I feel like, you know, with police, they just feel like we should all just be their subordinates and, like, shut up and, like, not say anything type shit. At least from my experience, like, that's what I've experienced. Because, like, I'm a pretty chill dude. I don't yell. Like, I talk to people calmly. And, like, when I try to do that with them, it's like they're not trying to talk back. You know what I mean? And unless it's like a crowd or some kind of event going on, maybe. But on the one-on-one thing, it's not much communication. If that makes sense. You know, so that's why I feel the way I do, you know?
It is odd. I feel like you have had the most stories, but you usually, like, you're definitely the calmest of us three. You know, like
Yeah.
you're the most like diplomatic. You know, I know I'm calm, but I've got a temper. I know for sure.
And maybe that's why they do it. You know what I mean? Because they feel, okay, he's a chill dude, so like I don't have to talk back to him or whatever. But regardless of like what's going on in their head and shit like that, that shouldn't be an excuse to like act like that. Especially when you're a policeman, you're supposed to like we pay y'all with our money. You know, it's like we're literally like paying y'all and shit. You know, so like why are y'all doing the stuff that y'all doing? You know, so it just that's my 2 cents on that.
Speaking of chance knowing the law, I remember there was one time my car you were parked outside of my apartment and we were chilling. I won't mention names. There were 2 other people there too, doing their own thing. But the funny thing was,
they sure were.
the funny thing is, your car was about to get towed, and you ran over and got in the car and called the police and said, "I'm being kidnapped." They dropped your shit and did not tow your car. I tell people that now to this day, if they're ever like, "Oh no, you know, I saw my car was getting towed." Like, hey, there's the trick.
Go get in that shit. Go get in that shit. They cannot take you. If they take you 15 feet, it's kidnapping.
I should did that with the whole McDonald's thing. Remember that?
We should have. I know. We should have, man. I guess the final note on that is, you know, we kind of pride ourselves on our system being innocent until proven guilty, but Jay-Z called it, you know, we're guilty until proven innocent in most of the cases, or at least that's how we've been groomed to feel, you know. Right. But speaking of broken systems, the latest news, Kyrie Irving. Man cannot like just chill, you know, like he's always got some opinion. He's always got to shake things up. And we'll just jump into the story now.
Honestly, can I start on it? Or are you going to show us something? Or?
No, Mike, you toss it up. Jack, you go first. I know Brandon's looking at his lips and shit.
Brandon
you want to get into it.
Ready for this one. So Kyrie Irving led a call. Here, I'll share so people watching on YouTube can read along. Kyrie Irving led a call on Friday of NBA and WNBA players questioning the return of professional basketball. On Monday, he, along with some Lakers, including Avery Bradley, issued a mission statement representing the coalition that appears to signal a formalization of the group while demanding social change. So to sum it up, you know, Kyrie basically says, we've had enough. Something feels fishy. You know, we're out here. You know, there's all these injustices going on, and I agree with that. You know, let's not make this something that kind of steals the spotlight of what really matters. I get all that, but you know, him saying that, it just kind of, the optics behind it are kind of hazy, and you know, it feels like something's fishy there. That's been my biggest issue. Look, I don't disagree with him saying that, you know, there are more important things going on, and maybe something like this takes away. Where I have to disagree, though, is what's fishy about it, man? Like, the best players, the people that matter the most in your league, got together and said, hey, we want to play. I'm sorry. If you get the 15 best players in any league and they say we should play, everybody else should just play. I don't care. Like, and you're not even playing. You don't have to go. You're injured. You're not even able to play. So, look, I'm just somebody that's always got to have, you know, I feel like I've always got something to say about Kyrie. I'm not usually just in the middle. I usually feel one way or the other. Earth is not flat, you know? But, and once again, I'm kind of like, man, like, nah, dude, like, nah, you're looking for something that isn't there. I don't know. Jock, you pick it up.
Yeah, so my thing is, like, you know, y'all may disagree with me on this, with, you know, it's cool, we got our own opinions, but I actually, like, I'm behind Kyrie as far as the fact that I do think it's going to be a distraction, if I'm being real with you, like, because, like, humans are we get bored easily, you know what I'm saying? Like, we want to go back to, like, normality, like, you know, some form. So NBA coming back is kind of like some form of, okay, like, stuff is kind of back to normal again. And then, you know, we're going to kind of stop talking about the movement. So I guess what I'm saying is the momentum is going to kind of, like, be lowered. Now, on the flip side of it, I think it could be a great thing if they do it right, though, since it's such a big platform. So what I mean by that is, you know, you have LeBron, who's, you know, like the face of NBA or whatever. If they were to have, like, you know, 30-minute or hour segments, like town halls, you know, open to the public, of course, like on TV, where they're actually talking about what we're going to do next in the movement and just, like, talking about real issues and stuff, for the remainder of the season, I'll be down for that. You know, because I feel like the momentum won't shift and people will still be like on the forefront and everything. Not like a whole it's like a 30-second or a minute, you know, interview after the game. Like, yeah, it's messed up and we gotta do better and it's not right, and then that's pretty much it. That's not really talking about stuff. You know,
here's my thoughts on that though. Sports unite. I mean, Brandon, you and I came together because of sports. I mean, we obviously have common interests. We're friends, you know, but we came together because of sports, you know. Sports unite. And, I mean, sports are a distraction, you know, and it usually – if you're distracting and making people forget, then that's a problem. But if you're in a
right.
humans need that, man. We don't have any escapes right now. We've been cooped up in our houses for months. You know, there's nothing new. We're just watching the same things over and over. Pulp on freaking Netflix, HBO, all the same shit, YouTube, you know. Sports unite. And I feel like if you've got anybody that matters more than, you know, I would say any celebrity or any athlete for sure, but maybe any celebrity that just seems to have as much of a consensus approval rating, it's LeBron. And I feel like he can go out there and, you know, really show like, you know, hey, let's be together. We need something to tie people together right now because we're still so far apart, you know. So that's my biggest thing with it. And, you know, you just look at like we talked about it the last, 2 episodes ago or last episode. Look at how colorblind the love and the unity was for Kobe when he passed. You know, like
for
as
sure.
sad as his death was, like that's a tragedy, man. Like I'd never cared about him as a player. I cried when he died. You know, like that shows how iconic and how big he was. But I think that has been, as shitty as this year has been, that has been one of the highlights of this year because of how much it brought people together. You know, like how much people just put aside all their differences and just, hey, we're here. Like
even their differences with Kobe.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right. And Mike, like I hear you, bro. Like, and I agree on that aspect. Like, sports, it does bring people together. But all I'm saying is, as long as they keep it like going, like talking about it, you know what I mean? Like having some kind of, because like think about it, like if we see LeBron, you know, some of the biggest names actually actively like showing stuff like on TV or whatever else, people are gonna pay attention to that. That says a big message, you know. So like, I'm cool with him. I'm still gonna watch NBA regardless, you know, because like I'm a sports fan or whatever.
I will say this:
I just would like for that to happen. That's all.
I would agree, but I feel like we can't hold them responsible for doing something like that. Like say you have to do that. I mean, I think it goes back to Chappelle and the 846. You know, the Don Lemon point. That Don Lemon's like, where are these celebrities? Where are they at? What can they say? And I mean, I get maybe LeBron. I just mentioned him mattering more than probably any athlete or celebrity. He can go out there and make a statement, hey, do this. But I feel like if we're trying to put the onus on him to like, hey, you've got to carry this movement. Like, you've got to do this. After a while, man, I mean, it feels a little bit different too when something is work versus being voluntary. When you're telling somebody, hey, you have to go out there and make a statement, like,
well, because like, yeah, and I get that.
Labor.
I get that. Right, I get that. But LeBron, because he's been so vocal about stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he hasn't been talking about stuff.
Right.
So, and other players as well. So that's why I'm saying, like, you know, you're vocal about it now. Once shit starts up, continue to be vocal. That's all I'm saying, you know?
True.
Along with, not just him, but it takes a village. Like, everybody else, too, is in the league, you know?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, hopefully that happens. And with someone, you know, as legitimate as LeBron is about, you know, everything, and shit with Kyrie too, you know, they will keep that going. But like you said, Mike, it doesn't have to, like, it's not an obligation that they have. You know what I'm saying? Like, if the season starts and, you know, Adam Silver comes out and says, yo, y'all can't say anything about it or whatever like that, that's kind of a dud. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I don't think Adam Silver is going to do that or anything. I don't think any company is kind of really blocking all that shit. I mean, even Starbucks ran their shit back when, you know what I'm saying, about the BLM shirts or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But, like, I think that, I think this is going to be great. One, because basketball is basketball. right? It's like the greatest sport ever. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's probably the most worldwide like played sport, like outside of soccer. Um, and soccer's coming back, and they're doing pretty fucking good right now and shit like that. But I think that this could be a point that helps the movement with what you're saying, John. Like, I think that it will be something that kind of will bring attention to it. Because, like, I mean, we got the internet. You got, like I said, all the companies or whatever, people on TV, back in the movement and shit like that. But I think that, like, sports, especially the NBA, with it being, like, what, 85, 90% black, they're going to keep it moving. I mean, they are, like, they're super political in what they do. Like, like, no matter what, if it's, like, no matter what it is, they're super political. They keep this shit going. So I think that they will. I don't think that it's going to be any type of distraction or anything like that. Kyrie's just being Kyrie. He's being a conspiracy theorist. You know what I'm saying? That's just Kyrie.
I know Brandon's got a lot of thoughts on Kyrie himself. Like, this is what you've been holding on. I know.
Yeah.
Look, man. Look, and I hate that my internet went out and I missed part of what y'all had to say. But my issue with Kyrie, and we can get to the points in a second. But my issue with Kyrie is just that this guy thinks he's so much smarter than he actually is. And I'm not saying that my man's not smart or articulate or thoughtful or well-intended or any of that stuff. Like, I don't know Kyrie, so I'm not judging this man on that level. I'm just saying that everything that comes out of the dude's mouth make him seem like he read all the wrong books, and like the dude is just like it's one thing to be an intellect, but it's a whole nother thing to think you're like Cornel West when you're just somebody who just started reading a few years ago or something like that, man. He just strikes me as the dude who is just it's like you don't know if maybe are you not deep enough or is he fake deep? Like what? Like which is it? Like
fake deep.
I think it's a fake deep. Tell you the truth, I'm not gonna lie, because like Arian Foster's deep.
Yeah.
Kyrie's kind of a fake deep person. You know what I'm saying?
I feel that way.
And look, and I'm not saying Kyrie's fake, because I do think Kyrie's on the right side of this, and I do actually believe in like Kyrie's intentions. I'm just saying, as far as an intellect, Kyrie is fake deep. Like he is not as smart as he is trying to convince everybody that he is, and that's where that flat Earth shit started at, and that's how we got to where we are now. Just like as far as people not trusting what Kyrie has to say, and the issue is like Kyrie actually brings up some valid points, but it's like you have to shoot the messenger because you don't believe in the messenger because the motherfucker been trying to get over on you for however many years it's been since he said the Earth was flat and all that other kind of stuff.
So it's like boy cry wolf pretty much. Kind of, and then you factor in how things played out with the Cavs and how things played out in Boston and how it just kind of wasn't really the best look. I don't know if he fully got a full fair shake in that, but it wasn't the best look on him. Yeah. And so when you just put all of that together, it's like, okay, damn, Kyrie, here you go again, talk some more hot air or whatever. Even though he does bring up some decent points. I'm with Chance though, as far as like the distraction thing. Like if there's any league, like Jock, man, look, if this was the NFL, I would agree with you. Yeah. But the NBA, like to Chance's point, what he's saying, dog, you think Greg Poppovich gonna let this go into the off to the back burner? He get every chance he get to talk some crap about either Trump or get to say something to show how he's a white liberal. He gives it to you. Steve Kerr, and that's not even to say of all the black players. So like this is an opportunity, man. Like it is. Like if there's any league who can make sure that sports are not a distraction, that they are like sports are more ancillary to this larger issue anyway. Like we got to keep that in mind. Like this is the bigger issue, and I think if we give people more credit
more people understand that than maybe we would like to think. And so, like, we can put sports in this context. It could be a sidebar, and it could just be another platform to have these kind of conversations. Like, honestly, I think if the NBA became a distraction, that would be the NBA's fault, and like them like a dereliction of their duty to make sure that this issue actually does stay on the forefront, because that's the one league that we feel like we can trust on this.
Right.
The hell with Roger Goodell, and I know we'll talk about that later. Roger Goodell and Major League Baseball or hockey or NASCAR, like, we don't trust nobody. Like, we trust the NBA with this. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's why I'm saying, like, okay, all right, Kyrie, I feel what you're saying. I'm with the movement. I don't want there to be no distraction, but that's not what this is about to be. And I think the actual smarter players know that. They know they're gonna come in and they're gonna play ball. They're gonna give you maybe a little bit of a distraction, maybe just enough to watch a game. But they also gonna be doing some of the stuff that you talked about, Jock, like forums and like they already doing the stuff to help people organize the vote and all of that stuff. Like, the NBA is on it. You know what I'm saying?
You know the fashion is about to be, you know what I'm saying? You know they're about to be in their kente cloths and all kind of shit like that, walking into the arena, you know what I'm saying? You know, they're gonna be in the little
You know what, guys, like, I hear y'all. You know what I mean? Like, getting y'all's different perspective and stuff, and like I can say, like, I agree with what y'all saying. You know what I mean? Like, I agree, you know, like, for the most part, like everything y'all saying, because like NBA is different from everything, you know what I'm saying? It's different from the NFL, NHL, NBL, you know, it's different. It's like, you're right, you know, like I said, and that's why I said what I said too, like, if everything's done right with the platform they have, like, this could like help the movement even more, you know what I'm saying? So, like, definitely, you know.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of Pop, I know that was one thing, Poppovich and kind of being critical of the NFL. I love football. You know, I've never been a fan of Goodell, but, you know, I just love the sport of football itself so much. But I mean, Goodell, we know he's all about his money. So Poppovich had this comment to say about Goodell. It almost kind of gave Goodell an out, where, you know, he said a smart man is running the NFL, didn't understand what the difference was between the flag and what makes the country great. All the people who fought to allow Kaepernick to have the right to kneel for justice. Goodell got intimidated when Trump jumped on the kneeling and he folded. So, I mean, it's almost kind of like he gives him an out, like saying, hey, you know, this is because he couldn't stand up to Trump. But I think at least like the real leaders, the vocal coaches, people like that, and the NBA are going to keep pushing this topic. What I found interesting, too, is, you know, the way this leaks into the NFL as well. Bill O'Brien, you know, I'm sure you guys saw – I'm not a big fan of him as the GM. I'm not a great fan of Bill O'Brien as the coach. But, I mean, we can't deny that he did say, hey, I will kneel with the players, you know. So, unlike in the past where the NFL kind of seemed to be agnostic to this, or at least turn a blind eye, now you're starting to see it leak into the NFL as well, which is a huge step in my opinion.
Do you think Bill
O'Brien? Wait, real quick. On the Bill O'Brien thing, I think he's kind of trying to clean up. Behind the hop shit.
It's a valid thought.
I think he's trying to clean up behind the hop shit, man. Because, I mean, on 610, Brandon, I know for a fact you can attest to this shit. 2 months ago, right when this shit started, right when the corona shit started, you know what I'm saying? Like, when we were on his ass about, you know, when he they fucking traded Hop, you know what I'm saying? Like, people were calling the 610 radio going off on his ass and every fucking thing. And I mean, even the guys there, I don't know. I just think he's trying to clean up. But that's how I think that he already thought that he was on the chopping block in some type of way. You know, so I think that him just saying that is, oh, okay, let me just try to, you know, I don't know, not stir the pot, but, you know, keep everything in line. So
yeah, so like that's what I was about to say too, Chance. Basically, I mean, I don't think it's genuine. If I'm being honest with you guys, like, that's my opinion. I think he's fucking up the organization right now. So he knows he's losing like a lot of supporters, like fans and everything. So he has to do something to like make amends, you know, pretty much.
What's the
And
inside?
it's interesting too. I feel like with this whole Black Lives Matter movement, people aren't doing it for the right reasons. You know what I'm saying? Like they're doing it to kind of like, you know, take advantage or like just profit from too. And it's like their intentions aren't really right. And like I don't respect those that are like trying to do that. You know.
All right, so let me jump in on this real quick. I'm gonna be like just full transparency.
You're the most credible
like,
source.
Well, yeah, man. I know Bill a little bit, and so all right, so I had a couple. I'm not even trying to name drop on y'all. This is like real shit. Like I had a couple beers with Bill O'Brien and like maybe 15 or 20 other media types. Like we all just chilled and had beer for like 2 hours. About a week ago tomorrow. So we could go Thursday.
Real
we
recent.
go tomorrow. Yes. So like we chopped it up about this, and I'm gonna tell y'all like this, man. With Bill O'Brien, it's two separate. These are two separate things for me because like as far as the organization goes, and as far as the moves that he's made, and we talked about this too. We don't agree with him. We can't make sense of him. Like I told him straight up. I said like Bill. You got to understand, DeAndre Hopkins was like a folk hero here. Like you got to, like if you trade DeAndre Hopkins, you got to bring back something. You got to bring back like the world. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't just trade DeAndre Hopkins and just be like, oh, well, it was in the best interest of the team. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not buying that because like Hop been down with the team before Bill O'Brien got there. He was drafted well before Bill O'Brien got there, and he's like in the community. You know, so like he's actually a real person here. So that's the one thing. But then on the other side of it, like Bill O'Brien, even though he doesn't talk the way Greg Poppovich does and the way Steve Kerr does and the way the NBA coaches does, like he is kind of along those lines of the type of the white liberal, like that's his type of beliefs. So like I do think that that's what he actually believes, but I also think like to y'all's point, the timing of it is convenient because he gets to massage his image through this as opposed to the way the rest of us have viewed him through the lens of like what he's done with the organization. So like they're two separate issues, but he's able to benefit from the conflating of the two. So like it's like, oh well, Bill O'Brien messed up the organization, but it's cool because he on the right side of the issues. I'm just like, nah, wait a minute. He can be on the right side of the issues, but he still did this that was messed up. You know, like you got to keep everything in the context. And like you can do that. You know, that's not really hard to do. You can say, yeah, me and Bill O'Brien agree on this one thing, but like we don't agree on nothing else when it comes to football. You know, like you can have it like that. But that's kind of just been the way that I viewed it. Like, okay, yeah, Bill O'Brien, no matter what you think of him, this issue is not the same as the other one. And so like we can still hold his ass to the fire for like, okay, you traded DeAndre Hopkins, what did you get back? You know, you got back nothing. You traded Jadeveon Clowney, what did you get back? You didn't really get back
Peanuts.
You got back peanuts. You know, your draft picks, you don't have pretty much no draft picks between, you know, this year, next year. You know, like you can break down all of that and you can come to him with it. And then like at the end of the day, man, we had to just agree to disagree on a lot of stuff, man. but when it came to this one issue though, you know, like I do believe that he is on the right side of the issue. It's just that we don't have to use that to excuse all of the other stuff.
Right.
I feel that.
What I do find
I
interesting.
learned something new about Bill O'Brien. He's on the white liberal side. I
never would have thought that.
Definitely wouldn't have thought that shit.
Yeah, man. No, for sure.
Northeast, I guess, huh?
Yeah, like you got to think about it. Like people just assume what Bill O'Brien is based off of like an offhanded comment by Bob McNair. You know what I'm saying? Like, like whatever you think Bob McNair was, you probably, as far as like politics, you're probably right. You know what I'm saying? But with Bill O'Brien, you know, he's kind of mid-management, so he's not really the one to go out and talk about politics. It is fair to say, hey, man, if this is how you feel now, where were you at in 2016, 2017? in 2018 as far as being more vocal. Because like he's always supported Kenny Stills. Dwayne Brown will tell you that Bill O'Brien is on the right side of the issues. But like publicly, where were you at? And that's not just for Bill O'Brien, but that's for all the white coaches and for all the owners and for Roger Goodell and for everybody that all of a sudden wanted to come to Jesus all of a sudden, you know, when it's convenient and when they check the temperature of the room. That's the difference now. It's like you might be sincere, but like I have to forgive, like right outside, I guess my yard man is here. But,
oh, you good.
But yeah, it's like, you know, where you been at? Like we could have used your voice. JJ Watt, same thing. Yeah. Like he want to come out, and I appreciated it. But I'm like, yeah, man, that's great that you said that, and I'm glad that you said that. But man, a voice like JJ Watt, man, we could have used that a year ago, 2 years ago,
3 years ago,
2 years ago, 4, you know, so on and so forth.
It is wild, man. I mean, like it's like you said, it's, you know, what. Like the proof is in the pudding. Actions speak louder than words, you know, and NFL saying, hey, we made a mistake, you know, again, it's a big step, but you got to actually see something, you know, you got to see it to believe it. What I do find interesting though, and the last note on this topic, you know, the question of when the anthem occurs and, you know, after all of this, what's going to happen with, you know, the players and the coaches? Are they going to take knees with the players? Are you going to see people trying to discourage others from taking a knee? Well, it's coronavirus, so you're not going to have fans probably, right? Like it seems like that's almost certain that we're going to have NFL without fans next year. Mm-hmm. I don't think you're going to have the same national anthem, you know, ceremony that you had before because you don't have the fans to entertain. You don't have any of that. So I think it might be almost, again, that convenient timing, you know, for the NFL that they can probably just dodge the issue altogether because you won't really have as much production around the national anthem the way you used to. So they kind of, you know, the NFL gets lucky again because the timing of not only these issues, but also of the pandemic happens way before NFL season. I know it leaks into some of the you know, voluntary off-season workouts and whatnot, you know, or at least it's going to start leaking into that now. But the NFL gets lucky, like always. You know, they luck out from all of this, and I don't know. We'll see. It'll be an interesting year for football.
Right, and one thing I want to say is just like real quick. I think Goodell mentioned something about like wanting the team to like pick up Kaepernick or whatever, you know, as a backup or whatever may happen, you know. So, like, you know, if he's sincere about that, not just trying to save face, like, I can respect that, you know, even though I'm not a big Goodell fan like you guys. But if he is sincere about it, like, cool that he didn't mention that, you know.
I agree. I hope, and, you know, it all comes down to sincerity. It all comes down to you have to actually, you know, back up your words with your actions. So,
right.
We'll see, man. I'm not too. I'm you know, hopeful about the NFL and the NBA. I'm not too hopeful about baseball. You know, the word right now is that the owners, the players are so far apart, and I think that the timing of it couldn't be worse. You know, you've got baseball already kind of feels like it's on life support. It's, you know, the average age of the viewer is now 57, whereas I think a decade ago it was like 50. So it's not like the sport is getting younger, you know. And right now the biggest issue is that the players are kind of getting duped. You know, there's kind of they're getting hoodwinked a little bit from the owners. Now all of a sudden get you with prorating their salaries or not prorating it. But, you know, I think they need to find a way to figure it out and try to revolutionize the sport. All this being said to say that baseball, I feel like if it doesn't happen, I won't care as much. Like, I want it to happen. I won't care as much, and that's sad because, look, I'm rocking the Yankees gear today because also on the docket we're talking about the cheating scandal. But, you know, wanted to start off with just kind of that preamble with baseball needs an injection. No pun intended. What do y'all think?
Yo, actually, pun intended, because like I was saying earlier about the 30 for 30 or whatever, it was Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa or whatever. Yo, we need to go back to roids. Like, seriously.
That was the best year of sports for me.
We need to go back to roids.
I started watching everything. That was the best year of baseball. Hands
We gotta
down.
go back. We gotta go back. Yo, Mike. All right. Remember, this is kind of off topic. This was a few
Hey,
years later
speaking of,
after
look at the
98.
jersey I'm wearing.
Yo, man, muscle man.
You know where I
Yeah.
stand on it.
You know what I'm saying? Yo, you know what I'm saying? Yo, but anyway, remember that time we're at Minute Maid Park? You and Earl, I think Earl's dad or something like that.
Yeah.
Y'all were like together and shit, and like me, Chase, and Greg were like up somewhere else or whatever. We're like, yo, let's like meet up or whatever. And we like meet up, and then like I don't know why, but like Greg was like, yo, all right, we gonna leave, right?
Yeah.
I'm like,
I remember this. Yeah.
whack. I was like, this is whack, right? Barry Bonds comes up to bat.
Number
Right.
70.
His number fucking 70. Bro, I'm like in the concourse. I just hear,
I remember that. And I remember
And
Earl
they-
was talking shit. He's like, oh, Chance left, what an idiot. And I was like, yeah, but I didn't want to see. I don't know. Like, I know that was history. It's cool to say I was there when Bonds hit 70. But I will also say I like seeing history not happen. One example, if I have and I don't really care about Bonds. I'm not a fan, but I don't dislike him. Like you said, look, steroids, everybody was
That's
using
pretty
it.
cool.
It made the sport better. But what was interesting though is I was there for a Rangers Astros game back in 2012, 2013, something like that. And Yu Darvish was pitching. And he had 8 2/3 of a perfect game going. And I remember right around the 7th inning when he was, still perfect through 7, Astros fans switched. They turned. They were rooting for the perfect game. And I remember I was like, man, y'all fair weather ass fans, nah, screw that. Like, I don't want to see a perfect game. I want Houston to come through. I don't give a shit. I want them to break that up. Came down to that last at bat, and sure enough, I think it was Marwin Gonzalez hits a little bloop single to break up the perfect game. That was probably one of the top 5 biggest celebrations I've ever had. Not top 5 memories, not top 5 sports memories. Obviously, it was like a 60-win team. But as far as how I celebrated, you would have thought they won the World Series then. Just because go Houston, Dallas, sorry, but that's how it was. That's kind of how it still is to a lot of, a certain extent. But that was just a funny memory I had from history. And I was all about the home team over letting history occur. But now let's dig into the Yankees because I know y'all have plenty of thoughts there.
Let's let Brandon start with this one, man.
Yeah. So my thing is, so y'all know I was like I did spring training. I was there like in the thick of it for the whole Astros sign stealing scandal. I was there for the bullshit apology that Jim Crane got criticized for. I was sitting right there. This was right before we started social distancing. So I was in the locker room for all of that. And so like, I can just tell you, like right now, it was so weird watching the coverage and like being there at the same time, like watching it on TV, you know what I'm saying? And like being there at the same time and like just being in the thick of like the historic part of it. And so now with the Yankees, I feel like it's going to be swept under the rug so much so because it's playing out in the courts and like in places that people don't really traffic. Like people don't read court documents. They don't read plaintiff complaints and motions and judgments. And like people don't really follow that kind of stuff to the same degree that they do like the personal shit, the press conferences and spring training and then this whole thing with baseball, like to your earlier point about whether they have a season. It looks like they probably will have a season or not, or like they probably will have a season. But it was at one point, like maybe even this time yesterday, I feel like we didn't know if they would even have a season.
Right.
So it was like we had gotten this news about the Yankees, and it was like we ain't even had no baseball season to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? It was like, damn, like right as we're being introduced to the baseball season with spring training, you got Jim Crane fumbling over his words. You got, the Astros looking like, I don't know what to tell you. I was just trying to, hit the ball, whatever. They just like, this is what we do over here, like they kind of just kind of stuck. And then the Yankees just get to kind of fade into the background, kind of just get swept under the rug, make it like this wasn't happening. But the one thing people were saying that nobody had time for at the time, because we were so focused on the Astros, was that it's not like the Astros invented something here.
Right.
They might have been the only ones doing that trash can banging shit. Like they might have came up with that.
Yeah.
But as far as trying to get over, that's one thing you can rely on baseball to do. Just try to get over. Baseball is gonna always try to get over. If it's a way to get over, they gonna do it. So you can be damn sure that it wasn't just the Astros or just the Yankees for that matter. It was probably several teams doing it.
Well, and it comes back to just baseball, like you said. You're always working to get a little advantage. You'll have people that lick their fingers or pine tar on the ball. Like, that shit is all in the game. And you don't hear about, scandal or drop everything, the integrity of the game when that shit happens, I mean, I guess the elaborate nature of banging on trash cans and potential buzzers and shit like that, I mean, that invites a little bit of conversation.
A little different.
I mean, stealing signs, like if somebody's obvious with their signs, you got somebody at second base, they're gonna be trying to tell the batter what the pitch is. Like, that's always gonna happen. If you're, that much of a fool to show your hand, like, that's gonna happen. It happens in poker, every sport, But, think about even batters. You have the batter's box. As the game goes on, they dig in deeper and deeper and deeper, so that they kind of hide that line. It makes it a little bit harder for the ump to tell whether it's a strike or a ball. I mean, all that chicanery happens in the game. Yep. I'm all for whatever makes baseball more
exciting,
because it needs that, And then, like you said, any kind of sport, any kind of game, you're going to try to get an edge. If nobody calls you on it, you're going to try to get an edge. I didn't really give a shit when the Astros did it. I was like, I'd laugh at it, and I thought that the trash cans thing was a bit ridiculous. But, I don't know. I mean, baseball needs help. So I'm all for, fuck it, let's go full wrestling with it. I don't care.
Dude, all right. So look, here's my fucking idea, right? So wrestling in the shit. Right, Vince McMahon lost so much money on the XFL. He's been losing money on the fucking WWE because it's been shit for like 15 years. MLB, it's going to shit, right? So you put those two entities together, and you have Smash Ball, right? So it's like kind of like basketball, but like it's like wrestling ball. You know what I'm saying? So you know what I'm saying? You can you get the option to hit the ball with like a steel chair or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, you can smack your.
Get a whole lot of theory.
Yo, I'm telling you, it will fucking work. You do promos.
I was thinking more like, not like literal, like wrestling in it. I'm thinking more like the wrestling rebrand, more like get like the theatrics and everything. Like, I'm talking about like, I want to have the best players on the league, like Mike Trout, Mookie Betts, whoever, walking out, having this shit come on. Wait for it. Oh, good.
It's time to play the game.
No. I want to hear this shit the moment like they come out there, right?
Hey, shout out to Steve Austin, man. That's my favorite wrestler of all time.
I want to see. I want to hear that, and then I want to see all of a sudden, like, oh my God, somebody running in from center field.
JR. It has to be JR though.
You gotta have JR calling the games, yo, man.
I mean, it needs something though. It at least needs like the theatrics of wrestling. Like, give baseball some kind of life support, man.
For sure.
Hey, you know what was kind of cool that they were doing? I'm trying to remember. I think it was like before the coronavirus really took off, like the early part of spring training. You had some of them mic'd up, and there was one clip of I think it was Mike Rizzo with the Cubs, where he's like basically giving you play-by-play commentary of his at bat. And
I remember this.
And then at some point in the at bat, or I say at some point, the at bat ends with him getting a hit. You know what I'm saying? And so like you hear him talking through him getting a hit, like in live action, And then at some point, I think he even like made I don't know if it was the same at bat, but like in this whole experiment, at some point he even made like an Astros trash can banging joke, like that shit is hilarious. Like, and like, we had this perception that none of them had no personality and that they're all boring, but it's because we don't know shit about them and we'll never hear them say anything. So it's like, if you let them, actually, truth be told, they're actually way more interesting than baseball would have you believe. So if they showcase their personalities a little bit, then maybe you could attract that younger audience, and it wouldn't just have to be 3-2 pitch and man, he's got such a hell of a curveball and sabermetrics and here's the shift, and like we don't really care about that shit on an entertainment level. Like if you want to get academic baseball nerdy shit, that's one thing. That's something to do on your own time. But like the production value of it and the marketing value of it, like give me your personality, give me your you know what I'm saying, give me the shit, man. Don't give me this boring same old, And I think they were onto something before, COVID kind of came and threw a wrench in everybody's game. But I think there was something there, like just a little bit more access, kind of like how the XFL was doing. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
XFL was on its way.
Exactly. I feel like I remember this. This was like probably one of the last days I was at the gym before all that happened. And I remember it was like a Friday afternoon. I think it might have been the same game you were talking about. I remember Rizzo, and I remember like the Braves. So it might have been like Braves, Cubs, something like that. I don't remember the teams involved, but I do remember they had the mics on them. And I think initially it was something I hated on. Like I think initially I was like, man, this is stupid. Like I'll be pissed if I'm watching the Yankees, somebody chasing down a fly ball and they screw up because, they're distracted. But I actually ended up liking it. I thought it was really cool, and it was a nice wrinkle. It's something they never do, man. So try to do something different.
And another thing, with baseball, watching it on TV and actually like being at a game is two totally different experiences. Yeah. Same thing with any other sport, but I mean they are polar opposites. You know what I'm saying? Because like you could watch a basketball game on TV and you could like go to the second half of the game and it's like really not much of a change. Right. But you do the same thing with baseball. Like say, you watch the first like 3 innings on the fucking first 3 or 4 innings on TV, and then you go to the game, dude, you're in a whole nother world. It's like super exciting and everything there. Like if they could kind of bring that experience like to the television audience in some type of way, like I mean, make it more dynamic in some type of way, like then it would shine. Because baseball's a fun fucking sport. It's fun to play, fun to watch when you're there. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. It has to be like more dynamic and shit. Well, and baseball is also, it's so boring though. You start talking to like even the people like in your row, and, like and, you know what I'm saying? Like so that makes it fun.
Like that's what I'm curious about how this is gonna work, because the best part about going to the baseball game isn't really the baseball. It's like the hanging out with the people, getting the hot dog, chit chatting, shooting the shit. Like it's more of a social event than it is like watching sport. And like when I watch it from home, like when I watch good teams play and it's exciting and it's engaging, then I'm focused on the actual like sport and the strategy and all of that.
Right.
But most of the time, like if it's just a regular season game, doesn't really matter who wins, I'm just there hoping for home runs, unless it's like, playoff race and like every win counts. But usually I'm going to baseball games in like May, beginning of the year when it doesn't even really matter. So,
right.
I don't know. I mean, I hope baseball works out. Yeah, exactly. I hope baseball, they work it out and they have something and they're creative with this too. But I don't know. I don't know what happens with baseball.
Bring back roids.
Bring it back.
Hey, real quick on that point, man. I'll say this too. Like what Chance is saying about bringing back roids, it sounds like a joke, and it's hard to like really regulate that. But let me tell you, man. When I'm watching that doc and I see how Mark McGwire rips the cover off the baseball, like dog. And I'm sure all of us watch baseball, right? I watch baseball. So I've seen a dude hit a baseball and like
been like, oh shit, that's gone. But like, I don't react like, whoa, he just ripped the cover off the baseball.
Right.
But like when you watch Mark McGwire hit a baseball, more importantly, when you watch Barry Bonds, the best baseball player that I ever saw play, when you watch him rip the cover off of a baseball, the shit is different.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's
exciting.
actually entertaining. People
Dude, that's
want
why
that.
the Astros 2 years ago, that's why they were so fucking good, like great. I mean, they were fucking cracking shit, bro. Like just left and right. They're all 9 guys like that played, like that were up to bat, were cracking them shits, bro.
Yeah.
And like that shit was fun.
Bring back
I
the juice
would
balls.
actually say like the last 2 years actually in the league, like was actually pretty good for hitting. You know what I'm saying?
I would agree.
Like,
balls.
I mean, I don't know. Bring the Royals back, man. Make it wrestling. Make it wrestling.
So last thing I have on the docket, it's just a short note, sad note. We recently talked about Chuck-E-Cheese in a recent episode. Basically, they're going going as Pasquale's on Grubhub, trying to make some sales. Well, the reason being they are going bankrupt and shutting a lot of stores down. So, I mean, I'm not sad because I wasn't like a huge customer of Chuck E. Cheese. My childhood is sad because I did go there quite a bit. But wanted to give a shout out to them. You know, we talked about Pasquale's in a recent episode. But, Brandon, how many times have you been to Chuck E. Cheese in the last couple of years since you're a father?
Bro, I probably can't even tell you. If when you talk about rioting and looting, that's who I wanted to get rioted and looted. I don't want nothing bad to happen to nobody, to no people. But if we're talking about just straight property damage, Chuck E. Cheese, I'm here for it. Burn the damn Chuck E. Cheese down. Burn that motherfucker down right now. Hey, get the pizza, loot the pizza. Get the pizza out that motherfucker. Let's get all the stores. Hey, I guess the coins and shit don't matter no more. We can take the toys and shit, take them home to the kids, donate them to charity. I don't give a fuck. Do whatever we want to do. Let's loot all the shit out of there, all the goods, and burn that place down because Chuck E. Cheese, it's just too convenient. It's oversaturated. I don't know if we don't have enough options to take the kids to, or if Chuck E. Cheese is just too goddamn reliable, or what it is, man. But having kids ranging from right now ages 3 to 10, bro, I've been to Chuck E. Cheese way too many times, way more times than a human should have ever been.
3 times a year.
Huh?
That's like 3 or 4 times a year.
Well, yeah, like God forbid.
And then their friends' birthday parties too?
That's what I'm saying. God forbid that they have their own birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese, but then at least 1 or 2 of their friends gonna have one throughout the year at Chuck E. Cheese. So you're gonna go at least a couple of times a year, at least.
Yo. We talked about this on I think it was the Pasquale's pod or whatever. So that was the one where Sammy Finch or whatever. But me and Mike went to Peter Piper 3 times in like 1 week.
I remember that.
Going back.
We were just eating that pizza, man.
We were just going hard on that pizza, bro. That pizza was dank.
Yeah, man. Save the pizza, burn the building. That's what I'm saying. That should be somebody. Save the pizza, burn the building. That's all I gotta say about that.
Makes me think I do the right thing. Well, I mean, that's literally like the like,
that is literally the plot.
We might as well call this episode "Do the Right Thing."
Do the right thing.
Headline.
Down. All right. Well, hey, that was an awesome episode. Really just covered all the recent events. But look, it's been a busy week, man. It's a busy world. 2020 is, man. We're not even at the halfway point yet. But Brandon, remind everybody where they can find you, man.
At Brandon K. Scott on Twitter, at B. Scott from Hiram Park on Instagram. It's the B Block Podcast. That's on Apple, Spotify, Buzzsprout, and if you follow those social media channels, you can always get the new episode. We do it. We're starting to do it twice a week now. I'm getting a little bit more time and ability to do it. So, and I feel like this urgency to get more episodes out, man, because there is so much to talk about. Even though sports are not live right now, the story right now is how everyone is handling the coronavirus and like how we get back, whether we get back, whether we do it too soon, whether we do it the right way. A lot of second guessing, and you know, of course, a lot of what's going on with the racism and with the streets, man. So like, there's just a lot to be tended to, man. A lot to talk about. A lot of layers to peel back. So I'm doing all of that. Y'all get with me, holla at me, and yeah, man.
Definitely good to have you on. Of course, always want to have you on again, and we'll have to come crash your podcast sometimes too.
Yeah.
Coming like a wrecking ball. Oh yeah. Hey, listeners, viewers, all you people, say happy birthday to Mike. It was his birthday yesterday.
Happy birthday, dog.
I appreciate
it. 31.
Happy belated. Happy belated.
Hey, we didn't know, bro.
All our birthdays are kind of close. Is Jock, Brent? Y'all are like a day. Brent, are you 19 or 21? I always get it mixed up.
21.
Jock's May
20.
Hey,
Brandon. Your birthday's May 21st?
Yep.
Mine's May 20th. That's funny. That's probably why. Okay, it makes sense now. All right.
I was supposed to be born on June 15th.
But you got July 1.
Yeah.
But hey,
a real
birthday.
A real nigga's birthday was yesterday. Tupac's birthday was yesterday. R.I.P.
Today, Kendrick.
Yeah, Gemini's.
Biggie's birthday is on mine. Is on the 21st. So I share that. Matter of fact, fun fact. I share a birthday with Biggie and Mr. Big, like Ron Isley.
Mr. Big, how you doing, Mr. Big?
Another fun fact. I almost shared a birthday with Malcolm X. This is May 19th.
That's right. Yep.
Whoa.
Already. I share a birthday with Pamela Anderson. And Missy Elliott.
Hey now. Missy Elliott.
I share a birthday with Cher, actually. Cher's is on the 20th, I think.
Do you believe in love?
Hey.
Already. Oh, white tea gang.
Got the others on. Wait.
Oh, man.
We appreciate y'all. We'll give all our shout outs. Chance, I know you want to get some.
Oh yeah, I'll shout out to everybody. Y'all follow me on IG, Instagram. Oh wait, that's the same thing. Twitter, everything. That nigga Chance, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know who it is. Y'all know who it was. Bye, peace.
Hey, and shout out to like my shirt right now. I don't know if y'all see this, but I finally got my shirts in. The Pierre style Save the Queen. I'll show y'all the back later, but I'm very excited about this right now. You know what I mean? It feels nice. It looks nice, you know? So, like, I'm going to put up some more pictures, of course. But, yeah, it's my shirt. My shit just came in. You can follow me. I have Instagram at Pure Style Clothing, and then my website should be on there as well. And, you know, to stay tuned for, like, latest updates and everything.
We'll throw some links in the next newsletter. The way you can subscribe, go to therep.network/newsletter. Of course, that's on the website, therep.network. Most importantly, go subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere you listen to pods, and find us on social media at The Rep Network. Tune in next week for episode 37, and don't at me. See ya.